Hello, welcome back. My name's Ellie. This is Boys and Teddy. We are on day 25 for my 90-day voice training challenge, and I want to get into resonance and learning about your mouth space. And yeah, so I guess we're just gonna get into it. I found this video that we can watch together, and yeah, let's just jump in.
Hey guys.
Just kidding. Welcome back to another weekly video. So today we are going to talk about the importance of mouth shape and how that can affect the audibility of harmonics in your voice. So for every fundamental pitch you have, whether it's like C4, D4, whatever note you want, that's a fundamental pitch. It's clearly defined by a specific number of hertz. Now, whenever you shorten the length of your vocal tract via raising your larynx, like this, what happens is the space in your mouth.
Okay, yeah, that is something I want to get down. Raising your larynx and changing the space from your vocal. That was pretty cool skill that she has.
Decreases. And it's not just the space in your mouth, it's the space in your throat. So I know some teachers like to talk about this being like R1 versus R2. I don't use that terminology, but if you've watched videos with that terminology used, that's what I'm talking about. So, like I was saying before, for every fundamental pitch, you have an infinite series of harmonic overtones. Now, you can affect these in a couple different ways. You can affect these by raising your larynx, by shrinking your oral cavity a little bit, right? So the smaller that I talk, hear the difference compared to my normal speaking voice, because I don't normally talk like this because I don't really like the sound, to be honest, but you know, to each their own. Now, the trick here is when you're dealing with mouth shape, what really helps is if you kind of imagine that you're sucking on a lemon, right? You can see how small the edges of my mouth get, right? And a way that you can kind of make sure that you're not opening up your oral cavity too much here is actually placing your index finger and your middle finger on either side of the edges of your lips, okay? So the smaller you make your mouth, the more audible, the more accentuated the harmonic overtones that overlay whatever fundamental pitch you are vocalizing can be heard, right? So if smaller the space, the more audible harmonics, right? They always exist, but they're not always really audible unless you're actually analyzing them in like something like, I think it's called Voce Vista. It's the name of the program. I have not downloaded it yet, but I'm considering it. It's definitely going to be a learning curve. Like whenever you download software, it's like you have to figure it out. But anyways, back to this. So you can kind of, if the sucking on a lemon doesn't work for you, you can kind of imagine that you're trying to hold in your dentures. So if you're trying to hold in your dentures, it's going to look a little bit more like this. Now, another thing to pay attention to is you actually want the velum, which is also known as your soft palate, to be lowered, right? Now if you raise your velum, you can see my larynx dropping a little bit with that, but that's irrelevant. So if you raise your velum,
You're gonna kind of go into like, you'll kind of get a yawn feeling. You're gonna feel the roof of your mouth and the back kind of lift up.
now part of creating a really small space in your mouth.
Oh, I haven't noticed that. When you pretend to open up the back of your throat like you're yawning, your your throat, your Adam's apple, your larynx goes down. Oh yeah, it goes, you know, huh. That's interesting. So let me see it. Oh yeah, that goes down so much. That's crazy. Oh wow. I don't think I've ever played it. Where this could be. Huh. Interesting.
And we're kind of creating a really small box. So we're not just dealing with, the whisper sound that I've talked about previously, the right? But we're also dealing with the front of your mouth, the sides, and it's important to kind of like, you'll kind of feel like you're sucking in your cheeks through your teeth a little bit. It shouldn't be to where it hurts, it won't ever really hurt, but it will be noticeable.
This is your brain when you're struggling to focus. And this is your brain when you're in the zone.
That's what it looks like. So like, people make comments about how I smile, and they always say, well, you're like making the :3 emoji face. And there's a reason that I smile that way, because that's how I talk. All right? So the smaller you can make your mouth, the better. So now, right now, my larynx is up, but it's not up as high as it could be. Now, if I raise my larynx up higher, I could actually sound something like this. Now,
That's crazy. I want to learn how to raise your larynx that high. That's crazy. Wow. Yeah, I can't get that high at all. I'm trying to feel and feel how high I can be. Yeah, huh.
watch my mouth shape. The smaller I keep my mouth, the better. Now, going back to the velum, talking about the velum, in order to kind of lower it, what you can do is you want to make like a buzzy E sound. E, 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 E. Very short staccato, and all staccato means is it's individual tones, individual vocalizations. You're not E, you're E, 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 E. And we're actually utilizing what's known as a glottal strike to kind of give us that short burst, right? So it's going to feel like E, 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 E. When you make that sound, make sure it's buzzy. You'll kind of feel it in the front of your mouth. Something that helps for this is if you kind of imagine that there's an invisible ball of energy about this small in front of your mouth, E, E, E. And that's kind of where you want to send sound to. But imagine that you're kind of sucking on a lemon. Another thing that can really help with this to reduce some of that lower end of the frequency spectrum, you place your index finger directly over your trachea. Now, sound isn't actually exactly in the trachea, but you'll feel some vibration, some offshot vibration out of just because like the sound is contained within the tube of your vocal tract from your larynx to your lips. So now if you place your finger here and you make a really soft hum, listen to how that sounds. I don't have a ton of vibration here passing through. It's not like it's in there. It's passing through. At least that's how it feels. That's considered, I believe, to be there's spatial resonance, and then there's I forget the name. I'm blanking because I'm nervous, but I will put it in the comments. But regardless, sympathetic sympathetic resonance. All right. So sympathetic resonance is like,
You know, when you vocalize in your chest and you feel that vibration here, there's actually no sound in your chest. The sound that you feel is offshot vibration from the lower frequency produced within your vocal tract, right? So you have your vocal folds come together, they create the sound. Sometimes at a lower frequency, you'll get a little bit more vibration. So, you know, if I go into my full male voice or something like this,
I'm gonna feel
Whoa! This is talking down here in the facial. What did she say? Sympathetic. Go down into the whoa. Luke. I am the boss.
feel more. Now, it's important to place our finger here when we're trying to make the sound smaller, right? Because the less vibration you have passing through here, the better. Now, if you do this right, if you kind of hum, hold on, let me find the note.
Rules, commands, MCP servers, subagents,
What you want to do is you're going to take your tongue, place the tip right behind your two incisors right here, and then you're going to lift the root, which is the very back of your tongue, and you're also going to lift the middle. If you have trouble arching your tongue, you can make an E vowel, E, E. Now you'll feel it, kind of the root and maybe the back part of the middle of the tongue lift up there. You want to maintain that, so if you go from that E vowel, E, 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 and then you just move your tip, E, E. You maintain the arch, then you close your mouth, sucking on the lemon. And listen to how that sounds. That sounds even brighter than my speaking voice. It's not my thing to sound like this, but it is helpful. Now, another thing to pay attention to is you may feel some pressure on either side of your nostrils and like your nasal sinuses passing through this area. Some students talk about it being like in the cheeks, but I always, like there's these little indents right here. Like it's directly next to your nostrils. If you do this right, you keep your tongue arched, you suck. Listen to the difference. Now, if I don't arch my tongue, not the same sound, right? So this is dealing with spatial resonance, right? So we're creating this really small box with the front of our mouth, the sides, the bottom by lifting our larynx, the top by lowering our velum, and then the back by dealing with oropharyngeal closure, which will be the next video. So thanks for tuning in.
of course, I do offer voice lessons, so if you want to
If you want to come in for voice lessons, at any point, the link to my website
will be below.
So, thanks for tuning in. Happy Thursday. Sorry about how I look. I know I'm a mess, but I'm showing up. I'm doing my job. So, have a great.
That was crazy. Huh. So, so imagining a vocal box, the back of our throat, we're lifting the lamp, and then we want to try to speak with them. Another one, the side open, and then the tongue up higher. The tongue was in the back of your front teeth, and then like there's a small ball coming out in front of your mouth that you're gonna try to speak to it. Huh. That's cool. That was a good video. Yeah, your spatial resonance. That is something that I definitely need to play with a lot more. don't think I'm quite there yet. I am raising the larynx. Um, it just feels everything's like tight and tense right now, which I think with time it will feel a little more natural. Um, let's see. Me, 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 me. Me, 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 me. Hello, hello. Today is day 25 of voice training. Yeah, everything right back here feels super tight. Hello, hello. How are you? Hello, how are you? Hello, hello. I like the idea that she's talking about having your side smaller. So that is something I'll play with too. Hello, hello. How are you? Today is day 25 of voice training. My name is Ellie. Yeah. Okay. I think that'll be it for today on practicing. We're just still learning about residents. So, alright. Yeah, that is it. If you're still watching this, I appreciate you. Drop a like, drop a subscribe. Um, and yeah, I will see y'all tomorrow.